All right, would like to call the order to the January 20th meeting of the James Longfellow High School Board of Directors. We're going to start with basically the Pledge of Allegiance and then followed by a blessing that I've asked Dr. Musi to deliver regarding the new year. So if everyone please stand and join me. Flag is in the back. I pledge of allegiance to the flag, the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dr. Musi?
God, we thank you for the gift of a new year. And as we begin this year, we just pray for your grace, for your wisdom, clarity, and for renewed purpose as we strive to discern ways to serve in this place. Serve students and families and teachers and staff and administrators. So we pray that you'll fill us with hope and fill us with a passion to serve. Yesterday we were at a memorial for a coach, and we were reminded how words and deeds impact and influence others. Our lives may touch others and make a difference. So God, just deepen our commitment and give us the ability to serve this school this year in encouraging ways that do make a positive difference in the lives of many. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. While we're still standing, I would like to add on to what Dr. Musi brought up. So yesterday was the funeral for Coach Gary Gist, a longtime educator, coach, friend, James Island resident. For those of you who are at the funeral, it was pretty amazing to see the crowd that was there. There was actually people wrapped around and stood the entire hour and a half of the ceremony. So it was an amazing tribute to an amazing man. So if we could just honor Coach Gist with a moment of silence. Thank you. All right, approval of tonight's agenda. Do I have a motion from the floor to do as such? Dr. Musi with the motion. Anyone with a second?
Second.
Mr. Price with the second. All those approved, signify with an aye, please. Aye. Those opposed with a nay. Agenda approved. Approval from the meeting from the December minutes for the December 15th. Do I have a motion from the floor? Mr. Price with the motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Schumacher with the second. All those in favor, please signify with an aye. Aye. Those opposed with an nay. All right, the minutes are approved. Public comment. Mr. Thorne, do we have anyone signed up?
We do not.
Thank you. Leadership report. Our chairs, Lori Cowart and Dr. Tucker.
Hello. Well, we're only reporting on about 2 weeks. We've had a lovely break, and our second semester started a couple of weeks ago, and it's probably one of the smoothest transitions I think we've had. I don't think we realized how many year-long classes we had, so very few of us teachers were wild with a bunch of new students. A lot of us kept our classes from the fall. We had a great open house that Ms. Holland organized last week. We had our students represent a lot of different clubs, organizations, departments. It was great to see students represent. Parents, of course, want to hear from students, the little ones more than the big ones. So they know what we think, but what do the students think about the programs that we offer? That was a success, and we think it's going to get a lot bigger. During our leadership team meetings, we've been doing a little book study on just data-driven instruction and progress learning. And I think the big goal is to try to make our professional learning communities more meaningful. So what are the goals within those? Instead of just looking at it from a data perspective and we want to get these scores up, how is that going to change the climate of our school, and how do we make knowledge really the base of our educational institution? So we're trying to, admin's done a great job. There are a couple steps ahead of us in terms of what PLCs will look like in the future, and just how we're going to tackle that, and just to make those experiences meaningful for all of our stakeholders. In departments, English and world language, also we're working with National Art Honor Society for our Mardi Gras Festival. We're trying 3 different clubs this time to make our program. We had 150 people last year. Hopefully we'll get a few more this year. Our IB program is doing a South Carolina Day of Service, trying to bring in more IB schools as well. Ashley Hall will be joining us this year, and I believe Mr. Webster has some public figures coming also.
Exactly.
We're
We're gonna
working.
go down to DNR and do bagging oysters and doing full day of service with other schools.
With the hopes of making this a South Carolina event in the future. Guidance has been incredibly busy with IGPs and class choice that's opened up to the middle school. So they've been representing us over there, and Ms. Drake showed us today a nice list of what they've been talking about in courses, what they recommend for our students, and it's just so much more detailed than it used to be. It's pretty impressive. Science is continuing to write grants and doing a lot of experiments and field trips. The math department is teaming up with SPED to.
We are going to attend the National Council of Teachers of Mathematics in New Orleans in March, and it's all about bringing back and cultivating joy in learning math. So it's the first time that actual SPED teachers, they're inclusion math teachers, so we thought it would be a great collaboration for them to actually be able to go to a math conference instead of just a special ed. They know their special ed areas are not so up on math, so we're joining forces and can bring back joy in learning math.
It's during Mardi Gras.
Right after.
That's fortunate.
Yes, after.
We do start our multilingual access testing in 2 weeks, and so we're trying to get the students prepared for that. As far as the library, I heard from a member of the GI Reads committee, and she's very much enjoying the books and trying to transfer that into different activities. It's been a long running tradition, and I think the group this year is really trying to get that back. So it can be very beneficial for them students. And we just enrolled our students also for their Seals of Biliteracy. So we're going to have over 100 students try for those in French, Spanish. There's a Polish student this year, Italian, and a couple other languages. So we're trying to keep that language focus and make sure we take them up on that linguistic capital. So,
Lots of good things going on.
Awesome, great. Any questions from the board? None heard. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Y'all have a good
Dr.
one.
Tucker, they had a slideshow that
Oh, yeah.
that
It's
just
I'm not going to mention it, Mr. Thorne, but for some reason that got deleted. I took notes on Friday, thank goodness, but we'll have a nice, better.
it's time to start fresh. I
It
guess,
was
is
time
what
to start
it is.
fresh anyway, so we'll have a new and improved look.
Linguistic capital.
That was yes.
Appreciate
it
it.
was owned by a previous employee, so maybe they count
Sabotage.
when dormant and runs.
We're not going to be. A decorated.
Well, she has the voice for radio, so that's good.
Yeah, thank you again.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Moving on to our next agenda item, financial report. Andrew, over to you if you're there.
I took you today. You're stuck with me again. I'm going to share my screen. If someone could let me know if you guys are able to see the critical financial metrics.
We are able to see it. Yes.
Wonderful. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. I hope everyone had a great holiday season. I'm so sorry for the loss you all mentioned earlier, but it sounded like it was quite a memorial service. Beginning with the metrics for December, James Island currently has about 4 months of days cash on hand, which comes to 124 days. That's right at double the benchmark and does include both the operating and Ameriprise days cash. As I've mentioned before, the preliminary 45th day count for James Island is showing about 8 students higher than what we currently have on the metrics, which is a great thing. I will update these metrics to reflect that number once the funding changes with that student count. That should be at the end of January. Total operating net income is currently at a loss of $180,000, not including capital projects. Last month, operating net income was at a loss of about $314,000, so closing that gap a little bit there. Capital project expenses are at $1.25 million, with about $95,000 of that being expensed on the science edition in December. That puts total net income at a loss of $1.43, with an $8.2 million fund equity to absorb that. The school's daily cash burn remains very consistent with what it was in November at just under $72,000. Moving on to the balance sheet, through the end of December, the school has $3.38 million in operating cash and $5.53 million in the Ameriprise account, totaling $8.9 million in total cash and cash equivalents. As always, you can find an itemized list of what is sitting in accounts payable, as well as a list of bills paid in December in the acknowledgement packet. But of course, we do pay all approved bills every day. Again, as mentioned before, fund equity sits at a very healthy $8.2 million. Moving on to your profit and loss statement or your statement of revenue and expenses. James Island has realized about 46% of the total budgeted revenue, which is within 4% of where we'd expect you to be halfway through the school year. We got some great news today for CCSD schools. The 3503, so that subcategory of the state aid per pupil funding, by far your largest revenue source. That subcategory, that 3503, that typically drops later in the year. So we got word today that that's expected to drop once the 45th day actuals are received by South Carolina Department of Education. They anticipate that drop to be at the end of January. To the Department of Education. So we'd expect it to make its way to the charters sometime in February. A few lines where revenue has not hit yet would be IDEA revenue, which typically arrives around March. Revenue came in for a few different sources since we last met. So the National Board Salary Supplement revenue, as expected, did hit in December at $63,000. The JROTC funds that are paid quarterly, you received about $17,000 of those in December. Total revenue through December stands at $13 million. One quick change to revenue that you'll see reflected on the next set of financials. Finance Committee met last Tuesday and decided to remove this $4,000 Pepsi vending line in revenue. That's going to be wrapped up into this line above it, 1610. Small change, but I did want to mention that. Moving on to expenses. Overall, operating expenses are sitting right at about 50%, which perfectly aligns with where we'd expect you to be 6 months into the year. After the Finance Committee meeting in December, we increased a few expense lines under high school programs to accommodate for technology and instructional equipment expenses, as well as the addition of an MTSS coordinator. The overall budgeted operating bottom line now sits at $1.3 million with construction. Looking at just a few individual lines towards the bottom of our expenses. Of course, the camera system upgrade paid in August, which should be a one-time cost, is causing security to trend just a little bit over at 23% remaining. Athletics is trending at 25% remaining. This is due in part to a $27,000 invoice to Mountain Elite Sports in December. Looking specifically at account 6413 athletic supplies, as well as 6410 pupil service supplies. Just wanted to mention that in the Finance Committee meeting on last Tuesday, it was decided to reclassify about $60,000 of expenses from pupil activities to athletic supplies. The Finance Committee just felt they were better suited there. So these were supplies related to various sports clubs and things like that. And so in the next set of financials, we'll increase the budget accordingly there. Finishing up, total capital projects, as I mentioned, sits at $1.2 million. Are there any questions on anything I've covered in the financials for December?
Dr. Musey is our treasurer. Any comments you have on your end?
Not at all. Great report.
Thank you, Hannah. No questions from the board? All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Next agenda topic, shot and discus project, quote for approval. Coach Holland.
So, hope I'm not screaming at you, I have to listen in up there. So this is the added expenses for us to get everything cleared out over there and get that functional for our shot put. We've had to go a little further back with the trees and all than we originally thought we were gonna have to once, Coach Morris got out there and relined it off. So what this is gonna do is clear out the rest of that. They're actually gonna level everything off, and then they're going to put down, turf on that area. And then there's another area where if you drive back behind the scoreboard, there's a huge dip of water. So they've put some gravel and stuff back there to make it a little better place for them to drive back and forth, in that area. So this should be able to finish that project completely. We do have to redo the cage, like put a new cage up and the cement, but athletics is gonna try to cover that cost.
The other invoices that were in there, you guys are already covering those, or they're already been paid, or what? There were like 4 in there.
Yes, those. I think one of those was the drainage rocks, putting the rocks down. The dirt pile remover, all that shit was, I think it was extra on what was already there. It costs extra to get the rest of it out.
So
But the gravel drive, yes, we'll take care of the gravel drive and stabilization.
the board just needs to worry about this one here.
Yes, and the grading and so the dirt pile, the grading and drainage in the summer, and we'll take care of the gravel drive.
So we're doing these 2.
Yes.
Okay, would be 36,400.
And this will finish up all the track renovations.
Yes, and that'll get soccer completely over here. So that was the whole purpose of all this was, for those who are new, is to get soccer. We have to pay $15,000 every year for soccer to use the fields across the road. So in order for us to get them back over here, we had to put discus somewhere else. That we had to cut down some trees and regrade and do all that to get soccer back over here.
Is that gonna open? I went by, saw a soccer practice the other day. There's a lot of people trying to use the
There's
same.
a lot of people
practice,
there, but once they've made cuts, we've also told them that if that does not work, then we have the backfields, and we'll just have to make some type of rotation. We'll go across because we have lights back there now.
I was
So
gonna ask, is that where we put the lights? Did we put lights on the football practice field also?
no, the football practice field lights will come next year. We're not putting them on this year.
Dr. Muse is our treasurer. Any comments you'd like to make about this expenditure?
No, just be happy to propose we expand the project at the 31,000 and add the drainage and grading at 5,400 for 36,400.
So
Be a motion.
Dr. Muse's made a motion for approval of 36,400.
Second.
All right.
Coach
Mr.
Allen, you also said that the dirt pile removal needs to come in under board approval too, correct?
Yeah, we can take care of that.
Oh, y'all got that?
Yeah, we take it.
Okay.
All right, so Mr. Schumacher with the second. Any other further discussion or questions for Coach Holland on the topic?
So they won't have to use James Island at all anymore. So essentially it should pay for itself after 2 years.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
The
Well,
Bailey
it's-
Field, soccer is no longer going over there, so, okay,
That's
got it.
Yeah.
And how much was that to pay, for them to use those fields?
15,000 a year.
That's a lot.
Nobody likes each other.
Everybody
must have.
And the problem there too
They
is
think
they would
that-
tell us that we had to get off at like 5 o'clock, like with their other teams. So it really wasn't advantageous to us at all.
I'd be pretty surprised if that 15 grand number wasn't about to go up another 10 grand or so. But
Incentive to leave.
I might know a little something about it.
All right, so we have a motion on the floor. Let's put it to a vote. All those in favor of the motion made by Dr. Musi, please signify with an aye. Aye. Those opposed with a nay. You guys have it. Thank you, Coach Allen. Stay right where you are, please, and we'll run into the athletic report and then just go ahead and jump into the realignment update as well.
Quick question, how quick is this gonna get done? I'm just worried about soccer being over.
So he's ready to go. He's just waiting for me to approve it.
Like, he's ready to, and it's a couple weeks worth of work, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
If that.
If that, okay, cool.
You've been pretty fast.
No, I agree. I just wanted to know if you.
Yeah, and laying the cement, that cement pad won't take long, and then putting the, all that's ready to order and go. We're just waiting, so.
I got too many soccer players come through my house.
We're always in the backfield with the lights on, so,
Perfect.
We should have lights in that field by next year.
yes, we will.
Cool. Thank you. I think it's a great project.
Athletic report, you guys, I think there was, did I not send it? It's the
You
same
did not.
link. It's sorry, it's the same link every time.
Okay.
So there's not a lot because we're kind of in that transition period. So, but I'll send it to you. We can get it
I
on
didn't
there.
realize it was the same.
Does anyone have any questions about fall sports going? I think the main thing to talk about tonight is the realignment. Does anyone have any questions on any of those?
Two comments I'll make real quick. I've never been to a wrestling match before my entire life, and I went last week, and it was phenomenal. Even though the other team didn't score, but I will put a plug in. I guess Wednesday night is.
That team backed out.
Oh, they backed out. That's not happening.
So it's just 4D, but wrestling's number one in the state. So the new rankings came out, they're number one in the state.
It was amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was something to see.
If you'd have came here 7 years ago, we were getting destroyed by everybody, and the job that he has done and those kids have done is unbelievable. So,
Also a plug, if you go to his Little Trojans wrestling matches, they are just as intense.
Really?
Yes.
So
Very
Wednesday night is kid night. So if you want to see a lot of kids running around, then
Meeting
Tomorrow
tomorrow.
night is-
Tomorrow's Wednesday.
tomorrow night.
good. And kudos to Coach Holland and for Mr. Schumacher for the tribute y'all did for Coach Gist last week at the beginning of the basketball game. I thought that was very classy and well done.
That was all Coach Allen.
Well, thank you
I
for
just-
so much.
I'll just-
Thank you for doing that.
Question, I assume the basis of our appeal was we still think the transfer rules unfair?
So our appeal that we went, so if you don't know how this works, so the high school league gets send out their initial draft of where schools are going to be. You have a chance to go before an executive committee and appeal where you're at, and then if you get denied, you can go to appeal or the appellate panel. So me and Ms. Thorne went up there, and our argument is you're punishing our school for education reasons. So we have out of 360 something kids, we have 255 every year just for academics. They don't play any sports whatsoever. So every one of those kids are still getting multiplied by 3. So that's what catapults us up to the 13th largest school in the state. For us, completely unfair. It goes against everything the motto of the high school league is about education. That was our point, is you don't care about education. If you did, then you wouldn't be doing this to charter schools that these kids don't even play athletics. They didn't care. They looked at me every single time, was asking me what our records were in athletics. And that was the basis of their argument, was that you can compete in 5A. The high school league does not have any competitive-based formula whatsoever in any bylaws or anything. They like to say that the multiplier is supposed to do that, but then Oceanside sits down there in 3A and never gets moved anywhere. So if it was based off, if that was supposed to be our competition thing, then they would be getting moved, which they do not get moved. So their whole argument, they don't really have a good argument.
They kept saying, what is your hardship? Like you won the baseball championship last year, you went around the playoffs. How'd you guys finish in the region? What is your hardship? And we're like, it was about fairness. And they also, the fact that they don't multiply academic magnet or military magnet students. They would have this same number or some large number of open enrollment students.
Still don't know why they don't.
Yeah, we don't know.
So last Tuesday, you all went up.
We went to the pellet, yes. And pretty much I said what I wanted to say.
And
I didn't really try to fight for anything because I knew that they weren't going to listen. And once again, I even told them we're not here to talk about competition. We're just here to talk about fairness with education and multiplying kids. And the very first thing that was asked of me, where did your football team finish this year in region?
so Coach Holland assembled a package. Ms. Delonte helped, Mr. Thorne as well. So it's a very impressive package. Y'all did that Tuesday, and then they shot you down. And Thursday, you had the opportunity to go back up there for an appeal. And then
Correct. And
That
we
was shot
lost
down
that one
as well.
even worse than
Yeah.
the first one.
So 2 days basically put into that, trips to Columbia with what, 20 minutes?
Yeah,
max?
you get 20 minutes to talk.
Yeah.
We
So
lost
it's
15 to
pretty
1
ridiculous process for lack thereof.
on Tuesday, which I think was the highest score. And then we lost 6-0 on Thursday. And Beckham lost 14-2 on Tuesday and won 6-0 on Thursday.
was their argument?
So they had a legitimate argument. Their numbers were actually 4A numbers and they put them in 5A because of geographical reasons. So they had a legitimate argument. They should have been put down in 4A. There were about 6 teams in 4A that had more numbers than Spectrum did. And that's all based off geographical location or whatever.
Well, and geography should matter.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
They're just not, they're not doing what they should do. And everyone you could talk to, Coach Jeremy and I talked for 8 hours because we're in the car together for 8 hours. You should be playing your schools locally that are around your size. And you should be traveling and doing whatever it takes for the playoffs. So you can easily have regions with 4 and 5A schools in them so that we play West Ashley or Blue Sea Beckham. But now Beckham is, because they wanted to win the championship, compete for state championships, you know, they're good at a lot of sports. It's more advantageous for them to drive 2 hours to Hilton Head or regular region games and do what we just did, drive 2 hours each way to play tennis, golf. You know, football is easier, it's once a week, just so they can get a fair shake in the playoffs. If they just did what most states do and group, you know, 2As and 1As together and 4s and 5s together and said, now travel wherever you need to have a fair playoff system, all of this would go away. It would be a lot more fair. The gates are better. It's better for parents and kids and educational reasons of not missing class time for, 2 hours early and then getting back super late. But Beckham wanted to have a chance to compete for more region, state, lower states and such to do that. And they were awarded that.
So I have spoke to legislation. I'm talking to legislation now about a couple of things. One of them is to do away with high school league. So we did send a letter in in support of doing away with it. And then number 2, something that came on my plate this weekend was the possibility of putting a proviso in to do away with the multiplier for next year to where legislation could look more into it. So we would do away with that, make everybody play based off their actual enrollment instead of a multiplier. So those are 2 things right now that we're in contact with legislation, everyone about. I have offered to go up to Columbia as many times as I need to speak to the education committee that's in the House to try to rectify this. But what's being done to our school it's not right. It's not fair to our kids. So we'll keep fighting as long as we can.
Great. Any questions for Coach Holland?
When do the new regions get announced?
That's supposed to happen the 23rd.
We anticipate any changes? Or who knows?
I don't think so.
Yeah, one region I'll have to adjust is where Beckham's leaving.
Yeah, I think they'll just leave it at 5 and not have 6. So.
Thank you, Coach Holland.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Quick question, how you feeling?
I'm getting there. Getting there, yeah. Baby steps. So hopefully I'll have the boot off here before too long.
Running around the track.
Yeah.
All right, next agenda topic, let's move
Thank you
to
all.
board subcommittee reports. And let's start bottoms up because I'm anxious to hear community engagement and to hear about last Thursday's open house. I've heard a lot of buzz about it. It sounded like a great time.
I thought it was great. I mean, I didn't know what to expect. All the kiddos, all the 8th graders that I talked to, I'm like, definitely go. Especially after our tour we had with Principal Thor. I was blown away by what I would see here. And so I encouraged all those kiddos that were thinking Magna, thinking this or that, like, go see it. Like, everything there is wonderful. I thought the turnout was great. I enjoyed being there and talking to everyone.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Lucy, any comments on your end?
I had a conflict, so I wasn't able to attend.
Okay.
And that's
I have
okay.
some information to share though about the fundraiser.
Okay, go ahead.
So we've done some research and come up with 2 companies. I know that we've gotten a couple pulls on for the brick. So one is called Fundraising Brick. And you know, really
I've been looking at Polar Engraving. They're sending me a sample, and I've spoken with one of their representatives. If this is something you guys are still interested in and helping find this.
Yeah, for sure. And I know Coach Holland, I spoke with him over the holidays about it. He even actually talked about maybe doing a site visit to a school that's basically done it before. And
Yep.
we could, learn from them as far as their AD could help us out and so forth. So
Yeah, the place I was looking at today, like there's definitely places closer, there's close to us in South Carolina that we can look at their samples. Their shipping is free. I asked the gentleman, why would we choose you? And that was one of the things. And I guess moving forward, we would want to maybe have some sort of information session or question where we could ask people what they want to see happen over there. I know there's differing opinions and, I don't know. Where are we with that project, with making decisions about the stadium?
Good segue. So we can roll into basically the capital projects subcommittee. So Mr. Schumacher, any comments that you have on that?
Yeah, a couple by chance. I had a meeting today with a guy named Cameron Baker with a company called Pinnacle Architecture, who had a spec list on his desk for restroom renovations for James Island Charter High School, do a CCSD project that is outside of our purview, I think. But kicked around the idea with him of what it would take to do a kind of master plan study that we had discussed. And he's talking to a couple of appropriate land planner buddies to kind of go through it. It sounds like the WAG number added is maybe like in the $25,000 range, plus or minus 5, which, depending on the services offered, could be pretty good. We don't need to go do the Cadillac version of it. We need a good, steady F-150 version of it that I think is probably about in that ballpark. So he's scheming on that. I requested a proposal to consider the board's consideration, our committee's consideration, the board's consideration as soon as he can get it together. Hopefully that's something we're able to talk about next month's meeting. And as far as the stadium goes, we did chat about that project a little bit just because he's familiar with CCSD stuff. He agreed that it's not that big a deal to renovate it instead of demolish it and replace it with the standard aluminum, rubber stamp. So as far as where that project stands, I don't know. Need to kind of regroup on that conversation and re-engage. I think post holidays, it's probably time to maybe see if we can't get a 10-minute phone call with Yasmin this week, just to see where it's at and figure out what, if anything, we can do. And, if it was up to me, we would take control of the design of it. And I know you can laugh at that. That'd be my charitable country. I'm happy to keep up with that somehow to, it's what I do for a living anyhow. So, but we're passionate about it, so it needs to be involved. So I think it's time to straight up ask, what can we do to help move it forward? With the idea of replacing it. And I think the time that'll take with the idea of this master plan probably shakes out to a pretty good junction that lets us be thoughtful about what we want to do around here, the next 20 to 50 years.
So is the process CCSD basically just gives us the money, or they're part of the
They're doing the
process
bidding
every
process.
step of the way? So
It's
every
their
step of the way.
project.
Yeah, because the money, the only money that's currently allocated towards the project is part of the Phase 5 bond referendum. And so, they have to go through their procedure for procurement, which we would do for a project of this size.
So even for the drawings, we have to go through an RFP process?
Yeah.
They already have Brownstone and Frank South that are working on the soliciting, architectural stuff.
Yeah. I don't want to get happy to answer some questions offline about some of that, but it is CCSD's project. And so, but at the end of the day, they're going to ask us for a $4 million plus contribution, which is about even money, more or less, of my understanding.
Well, it's been a while, but so they have 4.2 something allocated to the bond referendum. And then to get to $13+ million, they're looking to try and find $4.5 to $5 million of their own money. So they'll be putting in around $9 million, and we're putting in around $4.5 million. So
yeah,
obviously they're very receptive to the idea, even with their own money, what we want.
Yeah,
And then us putting in 1/3 of the money, I think they would be even more receptive. But when they put in $9+ million, they have to follow all the procurement procedures on the
Is
state.
this something Ms. Temple can help expedite for us, or?
I've approached her. She was a little standoffish, but I think Jasmine is doing all the right things right now. She's really trying to push for it to be a $13 to $14 million project with CCSD chipping in that $4.5 million. That her goal is to get that to Anita and Baroe and to ultimately the board of directors, the trustees. So that's our dream scenario, is that they want to expand the project and make it big versus just saying we got 4.2 and give us a little Band-Aid. I mean, that's the worst case scenario. I think we're hopefully beyond that.
Yeah, we had a chat with her in November, formally about the project, and it was, she basically acknowledged, yeah, we're cool having you guys involved in the process. I don't know what definition follows that, but that was just in the chat. So
I recall February being some sort of conceptual design.
Yeah.
This is late January now. So I'll email it tomorrow, get the ball rolling. It seems like I thought we would have heard back from them by now.
yeah, and so the holidays and whatnot, like if we could hit her up tomorrow and see if she's got 10, 15 minutes more before the end of the week for sort of an update. I think we're probably making it a little more complicated for them than to just go do the rubber stamp version, but we are writing a big check if we, get to that point. And the other thing that I would argue is, there's been a concern. We put columns under this existing building. We lose our space under it. You can't put anything under this aluminum, which is there's 800 cross braces going everywhere. So, we've got an argument to kind of do it. This isn't a hospital. This is a exposed structure concrete thing that can easily be done with the right look. I've talked to a couple architect and structural engineer friends about it over the last 2 months. This is not a hard thing to do. It's just a thing we have to decide to do and get CCSD to decide to be excited about it. One thing also in our favor, I think it was like a $750,000 delta to renovate this one instead of going new. And it was talked about, it's only $750,000. We fight pretty hard for $750,000 at this board. So I think that's just kind of another piece of leverage we have to try to get our way. But at the end of the day, it's their real estate, their facility. So we have to be very nice and have them want to help us instead of anything else.
Conceptually speaking, I think if we could renovate and utilize the space below the stadium layout wise, it's going to be much more attractive than a just giant field house. You should have everything in the front. You're going to put a 10,000 square foot building in the front right there. You're going to just walk in like this.
I mean, I think it'd be cool to crack a hole in the middle, let our team run in and out. There's all kinds of neat stuff you can do. So
Good.
we'll see.
Thank you.
We'll expect it done by.
We're supposed to start in February of 27.
Yeah, have they already done RFPs and?
Though they're out there for for bids to be submitted, because Clancy Wells has teamed up with Brackenbush and submitted as architects for the project.
So they're soliciting design services now.
So any conversation we need, it's got to be like now.
But any architect that can do one can do the other. This is more of a structural engineering project anyway than architecture.
Once they started to work on it, they're going to submit invoices for it. In other words, we need to stop it now.
After the selection of that design team, if that's all accurate, that's why I want to talk to Jasmine and say, hey, where are we? What's been spent? I think they're receiving design proposals. So nobody's spent any money from a design perspective yet, but it's probably coming pretty close. Yes, sir.
But nothing monetarily is, we're not in hook for anything for us right now.
That's right.
Okay. All right, thank you. Finance Committee, Dr. Musey or Mr. Price, anything you'd like to comment on there?
An observation, when two of the folks around here went to Columbia, Mrs. Holland chaired the finance meeting for the first time, and we got out in record time. Just a comment.
I love it.
Very nice.
Is there a motion?
No, but there was a concern. So, we're halfway through. You're looking at a budget, and the budget just an operational proposal of how to work, athletic supplies spent all but $3,000 of $281,000, which was a concern because we got half a year to go. So we brought that up. There was some exploration and maybe some things were posted there that she mentioned that should have gone to a different category, which just leads to sometimes the uncertainty of how to post things. And in this case, it could be, tens of thousands of dollars, which will impact athletic supplies. Other than that, life is good.
Mr. Price, any comments on your end?
No.
Thank you. Okay, and principal evaluation and support, I have no comment on that or status. So, any final questions, concerns regarding board subcommittee reports? Nothing heard. Moving on, Mr. Thorne, maintenance report, please.
Sure. So over the Christmas break, DNL finished replacing HVAC units along the foreign language hall. So those rooms 116, 17, 18, and also 16 of the 17 classroom HVAC units in the science building were replaced, leaving only 3 left for this entire project to be done this summer. So it's phenomenal to be done ahead of schedule, actually. CCSD maintenance replaced 3 original PAC loops in the water pump system that powers the HVAC unit of the Performing Arts Center. That thing is a whole full of drama and full of maintenance, but luckily they take care of it. It's kind of a flawed system that they have to just kind of manage. The parking project is 100% complete. Looks great out there. Spots are all numbered, and ground was nice and contoured and leveled. You put up the yellow markers and such, keep the various light poles from getting hit and that kind of stuff. So I didn't even really expect that. So that was great. And we weren't really gone that long because of the holiday breaks. They did 54 work orders since the last board meeting.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Thorne. Any questions, comments from the board regarding maintenance? Nothing heard. Moving on, school leader report. Back to you, Mr. Thorne.
All right. So the teacher of the year and the classified professional of the year, we announced those, I believe, before the holiday break. And actually, Dr. Tucker is the teacher of the year who was here. And the classified person is Mr. Wilson, who you guys see on the way in. So they got a nice fake check there, Happy Gilmore style. They both get $1,250 as a stipend for winning. The teacher of the year is part of a whole year-long thing. The next year, they are part of a committee with CCSD to advocate for things for teachers and the district. So that's a big responsibility. I will say when I got here, the classified person used to get $500. The teacher of the year got $1,000. I thought that was kind of like it didn't seem right to make things unequal. We're all part of the same team. And I also upped it up a little bit too. So
You got a bottle of champagne too?
and that's just grape juice. So all legit there. Very deserving people, of course. Open house that was already talked about. Very successful, well attended. So thanks for attending. EOC scores, they kind of came back more or less pretty much like they had been. Not the success we were hoping for. We didn't have any algebra tests because there's the big geometry shift this year. Everyone's doing geometry. We only have 3 algebra sections, and there's some of those kids actually failed geometry, so they're not even going to be in algebra next semester. So they've gotten smaller. But the honors kids did well, and the CP kids did not do as well. U.S. history, there's only 2 sections of that were CP, and that was a struggle for sure. We're hoping with more sections and more fidelity with the benchmark testing that we'll have more success in the spring. We do realize that we need to start getting people for sure that want to take on the challenge of this. Now that we've seen the data of how stark it is between CP and honors plus classes, that we need to definitely recruit and even incentivize teachers that want to take on that challenge. It's high stakes, and the success rate in CP is not great. So we need to definitely recruit and even incentivize those in that. And they have a distinct protocol we want to follow. These meetings, these data meetings, what we're going to do, so that we can be more intentional about what we're doing in that. So that's what we're going to be doing going forward, and we'll keep pressing hard in the spring with the data-driven instruction. ML, like Tucker mentioned, and that going on, they're doing incentives and they changed the testing schedule so it'll be more conducive. Make sure no one slips through the cracks, because even one kid not taking the test can really distort our data. It's only worth 10 points. When the cohort's less than 40 kids, 1 or 2 kids not taking it can really cause us to go from being 7 out of 10 down to 4 or 5 points. So supports on a regular basis are already in place because of Dr. Tucker and Mr. Philip Kelly. So, and then CCR wise, we're already at 84% for the senior class, which already ended last year. The efforts they did through all their IGPs last year and linking the privileges to CCR with the seniors and the juniors has really made a big impact on that. So that's looking quite good. Our enrollment is now at 1561 in the building. You can see the freshman class dropped by quite a bit. I think we had quite a few kids go to virtual schools and left us from Ms. McCoy. It's her feedback. We lost some seniors because of the early graduation going on, which is fine. If they want to go to college early, let a bird fly, it's fine. And school choice is school choice. If they want to, it is what it is. So we'll just try and reload through the lottery next year. But actually 420 is a really good number to have. Being at 440 is really what we'd like to have in any one class. School choice has begun, started on January 7th. The window opened, and here's the timeline. February 12th is when it closes, and then when they go through the lottery process, notify people. It's kind of slowed down by Academic Magnet and SOA with their auditions and tryouts and selective process that they go through. It's a little bit sooner than it was last year for sure, though, in terms of getting this done. And the third week in April, they have to decide to accept the seat. As of, this morning at least, we had 236 applications, 206 actually submitted. 173 were actually in the 9th grade, which is good. We generally offer around 120 seats. So that's a good starting point. That's about on pace where we usually are with this school mint process, which is the platform they use to do it. Applications historically have been around these numbers when it's all said and done. It doesn't close until February 12th, so I would assume we hope to trend with more applications. But really, all that really matters is who accepts, who actually attends. A lot of schools, like even Oceanside, has tons of applicants. They even make you pay, but they go through hundreds of them. They don't attend.
Can I ask a quick question? Just because now that I'm on the board, I get questions from parents. So that application process, is it weighted in any way? Like if you already have a kiddo here, like I've had, siblings or.
Yeah, there's 2 exceptions.
Yeah.
You have a sibling, you go to the front of the line, so you're basically automatically in.
Okay.
That's a sibling that's graduated within 2 years, I want to say.
Okay.
So yeah,
That was the question I got.
it extends beyond just being in the school presently. And then employees.
Okay. Those are 2 things
Employees
that get you points. Okay.
automatically. You just go to the front of the line.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you want to come, you obviously get in, then you go to the front of the line.
Got it.
That would be automatic.
Thank you.
But CCSD employees do not.
Oh, it's a JI. It's a JI.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
I believe they separated. We don't get the privilege if you have a kid, let's say you live in West Ashland, you want your kid to go to Camp Road. If you're a CCSD employee, you can apply for that transfer. If your kid go to a different school, it's almost kind of automatic for them. We don't get that either.
Got it.
So they did extend that for some of our employees, actually. I won't say who it is publicly, but I think it was because too many CCSD employees were taking up charter seats.
Yeah.
I think mostly in Orange Grove. Yeah. So it is separated.
I have a question.
Yeah.
You have to think that you have to incentivize kids to take an exam seriously, but some kids at work. So with the end of course exams, is that?
Yeah, we've been talking about that too, about whether to do, at the very minimum, to do recognitions like an EOC All-Stars. If you get it, and for us, an All-Star is when we get above a 70, because that's what the state says, I was passing. So perhaps gift cards could be a little tough because it's a lot of kids and that'd be a lot of money, but we've been talking in the leadership team about doing incentives because we do have kids that do calculate. I just need to get this on the test. And sometimes that this is only like a 62%, which doesn't do us any good on a state report card. So, Gary, with other things we talked about besides just recognitions for students?
Kind of making it so that teachers want to apply to teach.
Well, this is about incentivizing kids.
Well, yeah. Kids, but we didn't really think of any other ideas for kids. So.
Yeah.
It kind of goes along with what we give them for WIN and ASVAB and all those other tests. So it kind of makes sense.
Well, if we did, we do gift cards, maybe if we could afford that, it could be like a $50,000 number. It would be pretty large because the WIN test is just the junior class, much smaller. We give like $10 per section that you pass, and if you the whole thing, you get an extra $10 $10 bonus.
I was working on those numbers today, but I don't have accurate numbers for you yet.
What about admission cards to sports events?
That was one I kind of thought of too. Maybe if you gotta see it, maybe you gotta see her better, you maybe get a free all-star, maybe do like a menu, because some kids, things won't hit for them. Yeah. So perhaps knock off $50 for parking, idea, athletic passes, things that we handle internally that will be some monetary hit because we'll look at the money for it, but that could be an easier low-hanging fruit thing than maybe a $20 gift card or a sports pass or reduced parking costs would be some pretty good incentives. And I think recognition is good also. Just get their name out there and shout outs. Kids like to be recognized for sure. But money talks for sure. Those are parts of our discussions in leadership. Like great ideas. We've got ideas. Shoot them our way. And we agree, you have to incentivize them. We had the same problem in Ohio. The major test, Ohio graduation test, it was like a pass fail for most kids. They were so smart that they're like, they wouldn't even take it serious. And so we didn't incentivize it. Because I came from a school that was so high achieving that they could just basically it's like asking a kid who can shoot even par to break 100, and then they wouldn't try as hard. So there's a little bit of that going on for sure.
I see it in my house.
Hmm?
I see it at home.
Do you?
Yeah, because it's just like, I already have an A, so I don't need to study. But yeah, you do need to study for this end of course.
That's good feedback.
So if you do this, then you get, and it works.
Yeah. That's good to hear that. That's just giving my son the care right now. It's my major effort. So applications, as far as school safety, all required drills were completed for the first semester. Working on the first 10-day drills for the second semester, which includes a lockdown, 28 Yano searches, 15 vehicle, 8-person searches. As far as the classroom, slabs been graded and placed and finished. Masonry's up, so if you walk by, you probably can see the walls above the fence. The MEP is in place for the wall. Concrete radius beams and such are in progress. Plumbing has been roughed in. Steel package will be delivered here. Would have been already delivered, I guess. Door frames as well. Moisture barrier, metal studs. Here's the bottom line of the numbers where we stand. I took pictures. I forgot to have them in there. I'll put them in the folder. But either way, you can just poke through the fence and see if you want to.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Thorne.
Yeah.
With that concludes the public portion of our meeting. It looks like that we have an item in executive session.
Yeah, this one should take a few minutes.
All right. So with that, if I can receive a motion from the board to actually go into executive session. Mr. Schumacher, with in favor, signify with an aye. Aye, those opposed with an A. The ayes have it. So we will move into executive session now. Thank you.